this the lineup. We've got from the Netherlands, Israel, Ukraine, Italy, Germany and Great Britain. We're now going to have a look across the crews.
Well, newbie here, David Zeelenberg from the Netherlands, I think from Wilhelm III Club in Amsterdam. And Shmuel Daniel from Israel, 38-year-old. World champion Roman Polyansky from Ukraine. Took gold in that fantastic race against this man. Giacomo Perini from Italy.
Israel.
Markus Klemp, the man from the Bundeswehr for Germany. And here is a new British sculler, Callum Russell, 27-year-old former semi-pro mountain biker, come in for Ben Pritchard, who is not here. Nice to see new blood on the course. That's Callum Russell and David Zeelenberg on the far sides. The four guys in the centre lanes, I guess we are most used to seeing on the international circuit.
So we see the scullers waiting here, and again, not quite sure whether there's going to be any sort of a delay. We haven't heard the call over, so normally the traditional way would be each crew is named, so the starter will call the name of each country, then the red light goes on, and then the green light goes on.
Our producer has told us there is another delay at the start. I think, is that Shmuel Daniel with the Star of David pendant that he's got? Polyansky, well, a man of his experience, is going to be cool and relaxed. There's the blades of Giacomo Perini, burst on the scene just a year or two ago. He will lead this race, there's no doubt about that. It's just a question of whether Polyansky can do that incredible last quarter.
That was a great race, wasn't it, last year at the World Championships, where Polyansky just stayed in the fight and just stayed there, and came through.
Israel.
The Italian who'd taken the early lead.
Italy.
Markus Klemp, 40-year-old there. Just his name on the call over.
So that is that call over. All crews ready.
So keep an eye out for the 500-metre time. World's best pace is just under 2:10 for the first 500 metres. That world's best time was set by Perini when he went sub-9 in Poznan. I can't imagine that he's going to do that pace today, but Perini's blasted out, Greg.
Yeah, Perini tends to get out, tends to, like you say, tends to lead. It looks like he gets a little bit more stroke length, and he gets able to employ his back a little bit more, get that reach over. Last year when we saw him early, his technique wasn't quite so tidy. I'm sure it's something that he worked on as he's been sculling now for another year.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the motivation you get from just missing out on a gold medal, particularly in the run-up to the qualification for the Paralympic Games, I mean, that must drive you through the winter.
Oh, I'm sure. And you think about what these athletes put themselves through, the long winter training. And it's for days like this, in places like this, to come to this lake in Bled and get to compete in front of a good crowd that we have here in good conditions like this.
And the setup for these boats is so important, isn't it, Greg? We talked to the athletes about the seat and the way the seat has to be precisely tailored to the athlete and fit their movement. And, you know, some of the athletes get specialist sort of Formula One constructors in to work with them for the seat design. It's absolutely key. Yeah,
that's right. We spoke to Ben Pritchard, who's not here today, but he sent his good wishes to Callum Russell, who's sculling here for Great Britain on his debut. And yeah, Ben Pritchard showed us that seat that had been made and shaped around him, like you say, all formed out of carbon fibre, based on a mould, based on his shape, to give him, I guess, the best seating position to apply his force as effectively as possible.
It's interesting, we saw a shot of Markus Klemp there, whether he's geared more hard, but he was quite sort of conservative with the rate, sort of lowish 30s. He's there in third or fourth place. We've got Shmuel Daniel, I think, in... No, that's Shmuel Daniel in second place there, I think. Or, no, that's wrong. So
no, that's
Perini
right.
Through.
Coming through the 500 now.
Yeah. So it's the German. And there at the top of your picture, it is Shimel Daniel from Israel, 4th place. So 2:10, I mean, that's pretty quick, Greg. His world's best time is 2:09.38, so he's flying, Perini.
Yeah, no, these are good conditions, I guess, for these guys. You can see there's that little tailwind glistening on the water. And Perini will have gone away and worked through the winter after having to take the silver when he'd hoped for the gold at the World Championships. Interesting to see now what Polyansky could do. You can see they're in the same shot there. Polyansky trying to stay with him, trying to make the move as he did at the World Championships, just to stay in there, hang in there, and see if the pressure will start to show on the leader, Giacomo Perini.
Polyansky from Makiva in the Donetsk region of the Ukraine, trains in Poland, the original para-canoeist, and he's not going to be fazed by Polyansky going out in front. He's been in this situation before. He will back his endurance over the middle and the last part of the course, and, you know, the conditions might work in his favour.
Well, he should back his endurance, and again, we're seeing there, talking about this water feeling just a little bit uncomfortable moving around. You see Perini there, and just noticing whether he wasn't really getting maximum length out of the stroke, because those blades were in the air rather than actually in the water when they were moving back. So although he's got the length, he's not using it as effectively as Polyansky is.
There's our drone shot. You can see Perini just chopping the blades in from a height a little bit, not quite close as Greg Searle just told us there. Really getting his body onto it, isn't he?
Yeah, it looks like his balance has improved though, doesn't it? You see those buoyancy aids that sit under the rigger aren't really touching the water now. Last year he was sort of bumping along a little bit more.
So great second quarter for the Ukrainian. Polyansky has tracked Perini all the way down. Whether Perini has just kept his powder dry, but if things carry on like this, there will be an overlap in the 3rd quarter. So through the 1,000-metre mark, 4:24, that is 3 seconds off world's best time pace. I guess that will be close to 9 minutes. There's Polyansky. Look at him, he's just so patient. He's got those kind of such strong upper body, you know, strength in his arms, much more so than Perini.
Yeah, Perini's a taller man, isn't he? And he's able to get more length there. Just useful to see that graphic you can see in the bottom left following Marcus Klemp has got himself quite well clear now of Shimel Daniel into the bronze medal position.
Yeah. The camera's concentrating understandably on the race for the first 2. I think Perini has found something a little bit extra. Maybe just off the back end of the stroke.
Yeah, like you say, it's back-ended, isn't it? That he's not the tidiest on the catch when the blade goes into the water, but then he does give it a good move really through the middle, and he's strong in that middle phase of the stroke to just get a good bit of acceleration there.
So I thought Perini tied up a bit in last year's Worlds in the last quarter. So, I mean, for me, that's the question, you know, what's his winter training been like? What's his endurance been like? Polyansky had a go in the 2nd quarter. Perini has seen that, closed the door a little bit, and just that length of I think he looks a little bit longer off the back end. Polyansky with that characteristic higher rate of striking, shorter. 2 men got a different range of abilities, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Just more body rock here, you can see from the Italian, but not quite the same connection, but it's working for him still. Probably in the more bumpy part of the course now. I bet that does feel quite uncomfortable in a single like that. And then you look to your left, let your eyes go over to Roman Polyansky and see it's just a more compact looking stroke and a tidier looking stroke, doing nothing to slow the boat down.
Just coming up to the island with the church on. See the former Marshal Tito's summer house on Lake Bled, the former Yugoslavian leader, dictator. There's Polyansky. Polyansky coming back into it a little bit. That may just be parallax though, Greg.
Yeah, it might just be the angle, like you say, when we see it side on like this, you can see it's definitely some clear water, not quite a length of clear water. So yeah, see if Polyansky can bring in what he brought to the World Championships last year and close this gap in the last 500, and see if this man Perini can keep hanging off those blade handles as he does, getting the blades in and really using his body to connect and hang through the middle where he does get that bit of acceleration.
Well, if Perini can keep this up, he might just have a chance of going sub-9. I think they'll be just over it. But I have to say, Perini's sculling better at this stage than he did at the Worlds in Recife last year. All credit to him, his coach, Franco Catano. And the former equestrian come into parasport, just stretching it out on Polyansky, and now the distance seems to have grown. You can see there the rating's fairly matched, but what was 8 metres has now grown to 17 metres.
Yeah, you wonder whether Giacomo Perini was prepared for a last 500, wasn't he? And he thought, I'm not going to let the same thing happen as happened at the World Championships. This is what he will have worked on through the winter, to say, how am I going to feel when I get to the red buoys? And when I hit those red buoys that mark 2:50 to go, I'm ready for it, if Polyansky or anyone else has something else to throw at me.
Yeah, and I don't think Polyansky will be too disappointed at his row. He had a great second quarter. You know, Perini is a very difficult man to beat in this category. Got to put pressure on him at somewhere, and Perini has handled it well in the middle of the race, stretched out in that third 500. And he's moving away now. As we look to our left, we can see Perini come up to the finish bowl arena. There you see that beautiful beach, the campsite beyond, as the scullers come up.
Yeah, just coming down towards the line now, and Perini really has moved and controlled this race, really, and particularly controlled this last 500 when he needed it.
So coming up to the finish line in the men's PR1 single sculls, Giacomo Perini of Italy crosses the line. He is the European champion. Congratulations to him. Roman Polyansky from the Ukraine drifts across the line to take the silver medal. I think it might be...
As we go back, yeah, we're going to see Marcus Klemp is in a good position for the bronze medal. He's going to be ahead of Shermel Daniel as they come into shot. We can see them in front of our window. And yeah, Marcus Klemp has got a good lead, probably 3 lengths over Shermel Daniel. He's on the far side of the course, just coming down and towards the line now. As we see this nice shot of Perini, we may just see there, that was Marcus Klemp crossing the line for the bronze.
Polyansky there, and if you wondered, this PR1 class is for rowers who have no or minimal trunk function. So they predominantly use force of their arms and shoulders, as you've seen throughout the race. And decreased sitting balance is also an issue, which is why they might use the strapping, and the seat is so important.
So again, lovely pictures of that. You called it the finish basin that the athletes come down into. You can see there's a perfect length runoff, really, just through the finish line, and then you come down to that beach where the supporters can watch.
But the European rowing champion goes to the 26-year-old Italian Giacomo Perini. And it was a significant performance from the Italian. Real charge through the last quarter of that race to break that time that he set in Poznan. He will be delighted not only with the gold medal, but also with his time. And we will hear that marvellous